Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. My name is Callum, and if you had asked me a year ago what stability looked like, I would have said her. Her name is Lila. Soft-spoken, bright-eyed. The kind of woman who could make a room feel warmer without even trying. We'd been together for 6 years, married for 3, and while we weren't perfect, we had this quiet rhythm that felt safe, predictable, good. Our anniversary fell on a Friday that year, which felt symbolic, like life had finally aligned something for us. I had booked a small rooftop restaurant downtown, nothing extravagant, but elegant enough to feel like a special place for a special night. The kind of place where the lights are soft, conversations feel private, and the whole world seems to slow down just for you. She arrived straight from work, still wearing the pale lilac blouse I loved on her, the one that made her look like she was carrying a piece of spring with her. She kissed my cheek, hugged me tightly, and for a moment, I thought the evening would be exactly what we needed. But the thing about moments is that they rarely warn you before the next one arrives to ruin them. We hadn't even ordered drinks before her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, sighed, and muttered, "It's work." I didn't mind. Her job at the marketing firm had been chaotic for months, and I'd gotten used to the constant interruptions. She didn't answer it, though, just typed something back. Then her phone buzzed again, and again. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Yeah," she said. "It's just Ronan, her boss. A man I had never met but had heard of more times than I could count. According to her, he was brilliant, intense, and unbearably demanding. She respected him professionally, at least that's what she always said, but something in the way she said his name tonight felt different. He wasn't just her boss in her voice. He was an unavoidable presence. Before I could ask anything else, someone tapped her shoulder. We both turned, and there he was, Ronan Ward. Tall, crisp suit, expression sharpened like he had carved it himself, and eyes that moved straight past me as if I were background decor. "Lila," he said, with a half-smirk that made my jaw tighten. "You didn't respond to my message." She blinked. "Because I'm out. It's my anniversary." He nodded, slowly, like that information was mildly inconvenient but not entirely surprising. Then he finally looked at me. "You must be the husband," he said, and stuck out a hand like he expected gratitude for his presence. I shook it, mostly because I was raised polite, not because I felt polite. "Callum," I said. "Ronan," he replied, although he clearly assumed I already knew. Then he looked at Lila again, and this time he didn't bother with politeness. "You know," he said, "I always tell everyone at the office, she's mine at work." He said it with a smile, but it wasn't a joke. It didn't sound like one. It felt territorial in a way that made something sour rise in my chest. I waited for Lila to push back, or at least correct him, but she just froze. Her eyes darted between us, and for the first time that night, I saw something I'd never seen on her face before. Panic. "What's that supposed to mean?" I asked quietly, trying to keep my composure. Ronan leaned a hand on the side of our table, like he belonged there. "It means," he said, "that she's the most dedicated person in the department. She practically runs the place. I rely on her more than anyone else." Then he glanced back at Lila. "And I expect her to be available. Always." My stomach dropped into a deep, unpleasant place. Lila didn't look at me. She just stared at him, cheeks flushed, hands trembling slightly. "That's enough, Ronan," she whispered. "Please." He tilted his head, curious, almost amused. "You didn't tell him?" he asked. "Tell me what?" She shot him a warning glare. He ignored it completely. "Oh, come on," he said lightly. "He's going to find out eventually. You can't hide how essential you've become." That was the moment something snapped inside me. "Tell me what?" I said again, firmer this time. Finally, Lila looked at me. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. And that silence told me more than any explanation could have. Because silence, real silence, isn't empty. It's full of everything someone is too afraid to say. I leaned back in my chair, feeling the cold realization settle in my bones. And then she whispered the words that shifted the ground beneath us. Callum, there's something I need to explain about me and Ronan. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. The expression on her face told me enough to know that whatever she was about to say, I wasn't ready for it. For a moment, the noise of the restaurant faded, replaced by the heavy thud of my heartbeat in my ears. I stared at Lila, trying to read anything in her expression. Regret, guilt, fear. Something that could prepare me for whatever truth she thought she owed me. Ronan folded his arms, watching the two of us like he was waiting for a show. I took a slow breath. Explain what? Lila swallowed hard, her voice fragile. It's not what it looks like. That sentence, universally recognized as the beginning of something that always looks exactly like what it is, did nothing to reassure me. She kept her eyes on the tablecloth as she spoke. Things at work got complicated. Ronan let out a quiet laugh. That single sound made my jaw clench. Complicated. I repeated. How, Lila? She still wouldn't look at me. That hurt more than anything. I've been taking on more responsibilities, she said. Late nights, extra projects, traveling for campaigns. I didn't want to worry you. And that requires your boss to say you're his? I asked. My voice wasn't raised, but she winced like I had shouted. No, she whispered. It doesn't. He exaggerated. Exaggerated. I looked straight at Ronan. Is that what that was? He shrugged. I state facts, not feelings. I pushed my chair back slightly, forcing space into the moment so I could think. Lila finally lifted her gaze to me. Her eyes were glassy, lined with nerves. He's been putting a lot on me, she said softly. I'm basically doing two roles. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you thinking he was taking advantage. He is taking advantage, I interrupted. And you know it. You just didn't want to admit it. She flinched, but before she could respond, Ronan stepped closer to her side of the table. Lila, he said in a voice that sounded like a command wrapped in silk. We have deadlines. You know this. Your team is waiting. I need you there. Tonight, I asked incredulously. On our anniversary? Ronan's eyes flicked to mine with subtle irritation, like I'd interrupted him. She's essential, he said simply. Then he looked at her again, lowering his voice. And you told me you'd be reachable. That was the moment the real shift happened. Not in him, but in her. Lila squared her shoulders, lifted her chin, and looked him straight in the eye. I told you I'd help where I could, she said, her voice steadier now. Not that I belonged to you. His expression tightened. Just a fraction, but I saw it. You rely on me, she continued. But you don't own me. Not at work. Not anywhere. The table between us suddenly felt like a fault line. Ronan's jaw flexed. We'll discuss this Monday. No, she said. We won't. He blinked. Slowly, disbelievingly. What does that mean? It means I'm done, she said. Her voice didn't crack. She didn't look away. I quit. The silence that followed was absolute. Ronan laughed once. A short, sharp sound. You're emotional, he said. You'll regret this. No, she replied. I regret letting you think you had this much control. My breath caught in my throat. I hadn't expected her to break like that. Cleanly, decisively, without hesitation once she finally found her voice. Ronan's expression turned cold, almost contemptuous. Fine, he said. But don't expect me to be a reference. I wouldn't want you to be, she said. He stared at her a moment longer, as if waiting for her to back down. She didn't. Finally, he turned and walked away, leaving behind a tension so thick I could almost taste it. When he disappeared from sight, Lila slowly exhaled, then looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time that night. I should have told you sooner, she said. I should have told you how much pressure he put on me. I let it build and build because I didn't want to disappoint anyone. Not him, not my team, and especially not you. Her eyes glistened. I let him blur lines that should have stayed sharp. I didn't cheat, Callum. I didn't betray you. But I did let someone else take too much of me. And I'm sorry. I leaned back, letting her words settle. I believed her. Not because I wanted to, but because everything in her tone, her posture, her fear, and her defiance aligned with a truth she'd been holding in for too long. You should have trusted me with this, I said softly. I'm your husband, not a stranger you're trying to impress. I know, she whispered, and I want to fix that, if you'll let me. I glanced toward the door where Ronan had walked out, then back at her. The night hadn't gone the way I expected, not even close, but something had shifted, something cracked open. And for the first time in months, maybe years, I saw Lila fighting for herself and for us. I reached across the table and took her trembling hand. Let's start over tonight, I said. No lies, no hiding, no bosses, just us. Her breath hitched, and she nodded slowly. Just us, she repeated. And for the first time that evening, I felt the warmth return. Not from the lights, not from the restaurant, but from her. The woman who had finally remembered she wasn't someone's possession. She was my partner. And I wasn't going to let a man like Ronan take that away from us again.